Right, so grade 10, with regards to what we're doing this week, it's just a bit of a recap as to what we've seen with factorization. Now, I know many of you weren't present with me when factorization was done, therefore, I'm doing a bit of recapping with factorization this week, and obviously next week tuition begins normally, so you guys will be joining us for classes. Remember that those people who don't come for classes, it's fine, you'll still receive the videos from the classes. So, the first thing that we need to remember about factorization, it follows a specific order. So, we have to talk about what youngsters. We have to talk about our 5 steps of factorization. So, with regards to our 5 steps of factorization, what are they? So, the first step that we know is we need to always look for a common factor. So, we have to apply these 5 steps in order to get the word correct. So, the first step that we do is we go ahead and we apply a common factor. The second step that we go is difference of two squares. So it's what? A common factor, difference of two squares. After common factor and difference of two squares, we move on to a trinomial. Remember, after a trinomial it's grouping and then it's sum and difference of two cubes. So you need to go ahead and apply all of this before you actually see what rule you're going to do. And remember, after you've done one rule, don't just rule it out and think that you did not do any other rule. You need to relax, look at your bracket, see if you can do anything further. Because sometimes you can take out a common factor and then you can carry on doing more solutions with regards to this. So please, youngsters, ensure that you take it easy. Look after you've taken out your stuff to see if you can do anything further. Apply the rules again. So let's go ahead and look at these specific 10 questions that I've given each and every one of us. The first one that we can talk about is 5a squared minus 20. Right. So we're going to apply our rules step by step with regards to this here. So let's go ahead. The first thing that I'm going to do is to what, youngsters? I'm going to go ahead and take out a common factor. So is there a common factor between this? Yes, there is. What is my common factor? My common factor is 5. Now remember, once you open up your brackets, you need to see what you've taken out. So you're left with a squared, and 5 divided by 20 leaves you with 4. Now, some students might leave it at this specific step, but you do not. You have to always look inside your brackets. Why, youngsters? To ensure that you take out everything that you specifically need. So, with regards to this, it's going to be 5 into. Can I take out another common factor? No. But what can I do now? I can do difference of two squares. Why? How do I know if my difference of two squares rule applies? Isn't this one a squared and that's 4, so they're 2. So one bracket gets a plus, the other one a minus. A and a, remember, you only take the roots of it and 2 and 2. Now you look at it and you are complete. Remember that, youngsters. Let's move on to question number 2. So with regards to question number 2, x squared minus 10, x squared minus 10x minus 24. Right, so the main type of thing that we're going to be doing here with regards to this here is we need to see our first step applies. Can we take out a common factor with regards to this here? No, we cannot. There's no common factor between x squared, negative 10x and negative 24. Thereafter, we move on to our next rule. The next rule that we come on to is our difference of two squares. It's not two numbers, there's three numbers, so we know we can't do that. But then the next rule that we can apply is a trinomial. Let's see. Do you think we can apply a trinomial here? Yes, I'm confident that we can. So remember, the first one will be x and x. The last number is a minus. So one bracket's a minus and the other bracket is a plus. See, one bracket's a plus and one bracket's a minus. You want the middle term. So what do you think it can be? What gives you 24? 12 times 2. So I would say 12 and 2, and that gives you your middle term, which is minus 10. And voila, you're now getting it correct. Lovely. Then we can move on to number 3. Can you do anything further with your brackets? No. No common factor, no difference of two squares, no grouping, no sum and difference of two cubes, and no trinomials. So, with regards to number 3, you have x squared plus ax plus bx plus ab. Oh no, sorry, minus ab. minus AB. So the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, can I do what, youngsters? Can I do a common factor? No, nothing is common from all of them, right? Then the second thing that you need to ask, is it difference of two squares? No, there's not only two numbers. Then the next question that you have, is it a trinomial? No, there's four. Then the next question you ask yourself, is it grouping? And yes, you come out to a grouping sum. Right, so how do you think you can group this specific thing here? If you group the first two, right, you can take out a, you're going to be left with x plus 1. Or you can, you can take out x, you're going to be left with x plus a, alright? If you take out, yeah, you're going to take out b, you're going to be left with x plus a. So let's go ahead and do that. If you take group the first two, you're going to say x squared plus ax, right, plus into. Remember, if you take out a plus, or you can now go ahead and change this to a minus, then the signs inside will change. So it becomes bx. I think I took down this question wrong. It's supposed to be a plus, right? So plus bx plus ab. Right. Now what do we go ahead and do, youngsters? We can go ahead and take out x in the first one as a common factor. We left with x plus a. If we take out b in the second one, we left with x plus a. Now you have a common bracket, which is your x plus a, and then you have to join this 2. So remember, it must be x plus b. Lovely. And that will be your final answer with regards to that thing. So you look at it, can you say? Then you ask yourself the question, can you do anything further here? No, I cannot do anything further. Now we go on to question number 4 with regards to this here. So it becomes 18x cubed minus 9x squared minus 2x. Right. So the first thing that you do, or you always ask yourself, is what, youngsters? The first thing that you do is you say, is there a common factor? So let's have a look at that here. 2, 9, and 18. Yes, there's a common factor. What do you think the common factor is going to be, youngsters? Common factor could be x. Agreed. You left with 18x squared minus 9x minus 2. Right. Now you ask yourself, can you do anything further? Yes, there might be a possibility that we have to do a trinomial here. So let's say one bracket needs to be a plus, one bracket needs to be a minus. With regards to the x, we can put x and x. Now 18. 18 will be what? 6 times 3. Agreed. So 6 and 3. And let's see, 12. Right, so I'm going to go with 6 here. I'm going to go with 3 there. Then I'm going to go with the number 2 there and 1 there. Let's see now if we get the correct answer. So you always check your middle 2 and your last 2. Negative 12x for my last 2, and for my middle 2 is plus 3x. If you add this together, it gives you negative 9x, which is your middle term over there. So, lovely, I know that trinomial worked for me over my base. Then you carry on looking at the sum. You ask yourself again, can I do anything further? Can we do sum and difference of 2 cubes? Nothing. Nothing can happen now, so we move on to the next question. Question number 5. With regards to this here, we have a squared all over 9 minus b squared all over 25. Right. So the first thing that you're going to do with regards to this here, right, youngsters, is you're going to do what? Ask yourself a specific question. So you're going to say, can I take out a common factor with regards to this here? Obviously, you can see for yourself that you cannot take out a common factor. Then you move on to the next thing. The next thing that you come across is, can I do difference of 2 squares? Now remember, for difference of 2 squares to actually happen, what do you need? The first term needs to be a square, and the second term, and it needs to be a minus. So do you agree that this is a square? That's a square. 9 is a square, and 25 is a square, and is a minus. So what can you do now? Difference of 2 squares. With regards to difference of 2 squares, one bracket's a plus, one bracket's a minus. Then what you go ahead and do, you root it. Lovely. So you're going to go the square root of a squared, which is a, all over the square root of 9, which is 9. So a over 9. Then you're going to go the square root of b, which is b, all over 5, because the square root of 25 is what? 5. B over 5. Right. Can you all see that there? Now you look again at your brackets. Can you do anything further with regards to these brackets? No, we cannot. So we go ahead and we leave it like that there. Afterwards, we move on to question number 6. Right. So with regards to question number 6, we're going to say it's a squared plus 2a plus 1. And then we're going to say minus 4b squared. Right. Let me just write that underneath for you people to understand. Now, so now you have minus 4b squared. The first thing you need to do is look at this brackets. Can you do a trinomial here? And yes, you can. You can make it a plus 1 and a plus 1. A plus 1 minus 4b squared. The next thing is, isn't a plus 1 and a plus 1 the same thing? So I can write it out once and I can square it, minus 4b squared. Now you're looking at this. Do you agree you have difference of two squares? Why, youngsters? Why do I have difference of two squares? Can you see that's a square, that's a square? So what did I do here? First I did trinomial. Once I got my trinomial, I added those two. Then I could do difference of two squares. Now that I can do difference of two squares, what do I know I need to do? I need to open up two brackets. Right, so I need to do what? Open up two brackets. One bracket needs to have a plus, one bracket needs to have a minus. I need to put the root of a plus 1. So what is my root of a plus 1? Just a plus 1. And then you're going to have a plus 1. Can you see? Then you're going to say subtract the root of 4 is 2. So 2. And the root of b is b. Lovely. So can you see how simple, how easy that is to factorize? Lovely. Can I erase this now? Perfect. Then we're moving on to the next one, question number 7. So, with regards to question number 7, let's have a look at it. It's x cubed y cubed minus 64z cubed. Right. So, let's apply our steps. The first step that we can apply is we need to know a common factor. Does there look like there's any common factors there? No. The second step that we need to apply is known as what? Difference of two squares. Is there difference of two squares? No. The third step is a trinomial. It can't be a trinomial because there's only two numbers. Thereafterwards, we move on to the next one. Is it grouping? No, it cannot be grouping. So we come to the last one, sum and difference of two cubes. Now it has to be this here. So what do we do for sum and difference of two cubes? We open up a small bracket and then we open up a large bracket. So with regards to our small bracket, we then take the root of the cube root of each number. So we're going to say the cube root of x cubed is x, the cube root of y cubed is y, minus, you see, take the same sign, then we say the cube root of 64 is what? Youngsters? It's 4, and then the cube root of z is just z. Then you square, so for this bracket you say it's the first term, it's your what? It's your first term squared, it's your first times your last, and it's your last squared. So what is my first term? It's x squared y squared. Then it's going to be, you change the sign here, so you make it plus. Then it's your first times last, which is 4xyz. And then it's your last square. So how do you square your last one? It will become plus 60z squared. Can you see how simple it is to do that? Now you look at your brackets and you say, can I do anything further? I know some of you will try a trinomial here, but you can never ever do a trinomial way. It will never ever work. Lovely. Now we're going to go on to question number 8. Question number 8 says 5a cubed minus 5b cubed. So what's my first step? My first step that I need to apply is a common factor. What's common between these two? The number 5. So we're left with a cubed minus b cubed. Now, is there a common factor? No, because I've taken it out. So, now is it difference of two squares? No. Remember, this is cube in cube. Is it a trinomial? No, it's only two numbers. Can it be grouping? No, it's not grouping. So, our last step that we can apply here is our sum and difference of two cubes. So remember, it's A, because you cube it, you put the same sign, and then it's going to be B. Then you square the first one, A squared. Then you change the sign. Then you say the first times the second, which will be AB. See, first times last. And then you square the last one, which will be B squared. Now, then we can move on to question number 9. With regards to question number 9, it's x squared minus x minus 2. So we first look at this, we say, can we take out a common factor? No, there's no common factor. Why, youngsters? Because none of these numbers are the same. Then we say there's 3 digits, so can we do a trinomial? Yes, we can. Why? How do we do a trinomial with regards to this? It will become x. Open the one bracket, remember it's a minus sign, so one bracket plus, one bracket a minus. I would say 2x and 1. And then you look at the brackets and you say, can I do anything further? And if you can't do anything further, then you can leave it exactly like that. Perfect. Now we're going to move on to the last question for this week, which is question number 10. I know I moved a bit fast today, but this year you guys should already know x minus y squared minus 2. So, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to tell yourself, can I take out a common factor? And yes, you can. What's your common factor? 2. You're left with x minus y squared minus 1. Right. Remember that's in a big bracket. Now you can do difference of 2 squares. So it's going to be 2 into x minus y plus 1 into x minus y minus 1. And can you see how that answer played out there? Quite simple, quite easy. So let's just go through this here. It's step number 1, common factor. Step number 2, difference of 2 squares. Step number 3, a trinomial. Step number 4, it's grouping. And step number 5, it's sum and difference of 2 cubes. Please guys, do not mix this up in your paper. Follow these steps, apply each one till you know it's factorized fully. Also, once you factorize, look at the bracket and say, can I do anything further? If you can't do anything further, then you know, okay, that's my final answer. Perfect, youngsters. I think we can leave it there for today. Keep safe and stay well.